You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Well, one of the coolest things that can ever happen to an individual, right, on this planet is when they start feeling something, what I like to call the purpose of living, right? And you get that inside you, Marcus, and it starts building up, it starts boiling to the surface, and you start doing things that can change your life forever, man.
Good or bad?
Good or bad, they are gonna change you forever. And so what fires me up about this show is that we've got a guy, much like us, who've gone from one end of the spectrum to the other, is now moving into a place where his story and his transition and his awareness to change his life, really in some pretty remarkable ways, is going to lift up our listeners in a whole amazing new way.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, your own point. Keep going.
I mean, and so when I think about it, because our mission here at the Team Never Quit podcast is, if you've been listening now, you understand what we do, and we appreciate that you're back listening to us. And then the other part of it is what you know, if this is your first time, you gotta know, man, our main goal, our main mission now in life is to inspire you to be a better human being, to find that deep, dark place where you can learn to never quit yourself, right, Marcus?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what we do. That's our mission in life. And so by coming on the show, you're going to realize that, man, it's inside you, just like it was in us.
Exactly. Connecting, what do we like to say? Ordinary people to extraordinary people through everyday stories.
I mean, everyday stories, because it's the great stories in life that ignite legends, right? And that's our motto. That's why we're here. So listen, if you're digging it and you're enjoying it, please, share it with a friend. Tell a friend to go to teamneverquit.com/podcast to listen to the whole host of amazing people that we've had on, or actually show them how on their smartphone to go to the iTunes podcast app to subscribe to our podcast, the Team Never Quit podcast, so they can download them all and have them on demand, whether they're driving to and from work, whether they're getting hammered in the ring, whether they're doing crazy-ass stunts for a living, or they're starring in movies, man. Anywhere, anytime, you could have this in your life. And that's what we do, right?
That's it.
All right, so typically in the past, what we've done is we've come up with great historical moments in history that really project and propel our listeners into a place, maybe you've never heard the story, but it gets you fired up. But because Marcus and I are such humongous movie buffs, and it's relative to our guest coming on, we're going to approach it a little bit differently. Would you say, Marcus?
Yeah, I was excited. Because before we came on, we were kind of tossing those names around, so I got my brain working.
Is your list out and ready to go? All right, so instead of picking out a great historical moment about a former fighter, or whatever, what we're doing is we're picking out great historical fighters who've become movie stars, right? And so when Marcus came up with the idea, I was like, that's it, dude. That's totally it. So we're going to let him kick it off, all right? And we're going to discuss a few and have a nice, open, warm, loving conversation before we bring on our guest, who, by the way, is an amazing guy. You're going to get a lot out of him. But let's just first go down this rabbit hole together.
Right.
What's the first one?
It splits in two directions, right? Two kinds of fighters.
Yep.
Because huge UFC fan.
Massive.
Right. So back in the fight game, and it was boxing, so we said Mike Tyson.
Mike Tyson. All right. So let's talk about
who does a great job.
Well, in the ring in particular. I mean,
that's not. Yeah.
I mean, and when you hear his backstory about never quitting, coming from where he came from, the horrible upbringing, his incredible trainer that got him out of the gutter.
Customano.
Got him into the ring at, 18 years old from Golden Gloves, like, really?
I think didn't he win the Olympics at 19? No, he's world champion at 19 or 20, and then before that was, the guy's amazing. I've had a chance to meet him. The boss has had a chance.
You have not met Mike Tyson.
I'll talk about, I normally don't do that, but I'll talk about meeting him. I was at a UFC fight the first time.
Hi, Marcus.
No, that's not. Yeah, I was with Melanie, and we were at the UFC fight, and I'm looking for her. First time I met him was in New York.
Right.
That's a crazy story altogether. But anyways, I'm walking into the locker room. I'm looking for Mel, and there's a couch, and then there's a TV on watching the fights from the locker room.
Yeah.
And then I look over, and my wife's sitting on the couch with some dude, and I walk over. Who's sitting with my wife? Mike Tyson.
And he looks up at me
and
he goes,
damn.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, Marcus. And they were having a crazy, deep conversation. You know how Mel is, man. She's just like, hey, how you doing?
Right into it.
Who are you? Tell me about your story. And then when I walked up, it was one of those moments where he was opening up. So I just walked away.
That's awesome, man. So, all right, let's get right to it. So Mike goes for a storybook career, one of the best heavyweight champions in history. What about his acting?
I like the way he approached. Have you seen his when he was on Broadway or stage?
I did.
Yeah, telling his life story.
Yeah,
that's the best way to hear it. It's from him.
Absolutely.
I mean, you see all those documentaries and everything like that, and they cut and paste. But him up there, that was pretty raw. I like that. And then what is it? Hangover.
For me, it's the ultimate Hangover, dude.
Exactly.
I got to tell you that them in there and singing the Phil Collins song.
I just want to know if it was Zach's idea to get knocked. It had to be Zach's idea to get knocked out, right? And those guys just sitting there, acting that out because it's Mike Tyson, right? That's when you see people that are known for things. When you see them, that's what you think about. Right. So every time you see Mike, like, God, I bet he hits hard, maybe knocking your ass out.
Imagine that hit, dude. All right. So Mike Tyson, one of the greatest champs all time, into his burgeoning acting career. We love you, Mike. Keep it up. Don't ever quit. All right, let's go to the next one.
What would we tell you? Oh, Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke. All right, now Mickey Rourke was down in South Florida.
Actor, boxer into actor, not boxer slash actor.
Exactly. He started in boxing down in South Florida, in Miami, and his not a very...
He's a great tough guy. Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man.
One of the greatest... Now you took my movie.
It's not even a boxing movie, but who cares?
You took my movie. I love... One of my favorite, though, is remember the one where he's a cop that's going crazy down in New Orleans, and Robert De Niro's the devil, and...
Oh, yeah.
You remember that long time ago?
Well, he came on the scene... He's a badass. He came to act. Was it with Kim Basinger?
Kim Basinger in that movie, dude.
Sure. You come on the acting scene as a badass romantic. He was sealed for. He won the Oscar for The Wrestler, right?
Yeah, The Wrestler.
But I'm still, hey, brother. It's just. I hope it says Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man underneath it right
there. Oh, dude, that was my favorite. All right, the next one. Who you got?
Oh, remember when you brought this up? I was like, well, Randall Tex Cobb.
Dude, Sailor.
Raising Arizona.
Oh, for me, it's
Leonard Smalls.
For me, it's Uncommon Valor. Raising Arizona, hands down. His portrayal.
Leonard Smalls.
Remember, he had the rooster, or what was it? It's not Woody Woodpecker, but the rooster. His keychain, and then
it was Woody Woodpecker tattoo. And then they had the baby shoes.
The baby shoes. But my favorite is Uncommon Valor, right? The story about being and he wore the grenade, right? Yeah. And then he'd be out there doing the dancing, and as the sun would be setting, man, having his moment.
You gotta appreciate. Actors, they're great. The good ones, right? They can make you. When you look at them, it's not him playing a role; it's the role.
Yeah,
that's what they're known for.
Right.
That's why a lot of people, when they meet the actors, that's what they're like. Rocky, everyone's like Rocky.
Yeah.
But man, he's always real good. He puts out every. I've never met him, but
I'd love to. Say, hey, Randall, if you're out there listening, buddy, you give us a shout here at the Team Never Quit podcast, because we would love to have you on. Bro.
And when after the boxing, and then obviously Bruce Lee, Chuck Norris, Jackie Chan.
Oh, dude.
The Reyes family. Shogasugi, Van Damme. I mean, everyone's like, Van Damme. I'm like, yeah, Van Damme. Don't tell me in the 90s when Van Damme was
on point.
I mean, from Bloodsport. Dude. I still watch it.
Oh, I watch it every time.
Van Damme, if you're out there, brother,
yeah, we love you.
Yeah, Team Guys watch it religiously. If it's on TNT, they should do a marathon.
Oh, a marathon of former fighters turned actors.
Did you see him do that? The splits in between those two
The Volvo commercial is insane. And that's real, too. That's real. Seagal, I guess. Yeah. He was a Aikido world champion or something like that, you know?
It was when all those great, there's a lot of all those great karate movies, or, you know, badass that were going into TV. I mean, anybody, if you knew some martial arts, your ass is on TV, and we were watching it.
I think we got to, before we move on to the interview, let's just talk real quick about the man. Let's talk about Chuck, shall we?
Chuck Norris? Yeah. Oh, man. What do you say about that?
I mean, what do you say about Chuck Norris? I mean, he's a karate man.
Oh, he bleeds on the inside. Still to this day. I got a chance to meet him too.
Is he awesome,
He's awesome, man, dude. Just awesome. I was like, Mr. Norris, I've looked up to you for long. That's why I was in martial arts my whole life. You know that. I mean, he's been around forever, and he's
remember the original Bruce Lee? What was it?
Man,
Fist of Fury or whatever.
Enter the Dragon.
He
was
didn't he fight in the They fought in the Coliseum.
Yeah, in the Coliseum. I hope we got that right. It's either Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon. Yeah.
And then Silent Rage, Walker, Texas. Lone Wolf McQuade. Then he just kind of from that type of fighting, and then just spun it into all those great movies. I mean,
I saw the funniest meme of him the other day on Facebook.
I mean, the Green Berets have it right. They got Rambo.
It's on, dude. They get all the bad dudes, all right?
Dude.
They get all
we do that Charlie Sheen. I'm going to stick that one's cool. We got Charlie Sheen. No? Yeah? Tiger Blood?
I'm gonna respectfully decline to comment on that.
Come on, man.
No, I'm gonna respectfully decline to comment.
I'm there with you, brother. I'm there with you. Hey, Charlie Sheen, Navy SEALs. Come on, that did not fire you up to be a Navy SEAL.
I would rather reference your buddy Mark Wahlberg or reference Bradley Cooper.
We're going in the past.
Okay, but you're right. And fighters, you're right.
We got Bruce Willis and Demi. Dude.
You're digging our own grave right now. You know that. You are digging.
You can't tell me that all our teammates are going to be like, Charlie Sheen's.
Do you want to know the Demi story for me? Do you want to know that story? All right, so there I am in 18 Delta, right? And I mean, what? There's 9 of us going through, all bunch of undesignated seamen, right? Go through. Well, guess what comes out in Fort Bragg? Yep, Demi Moore movie. So what do? We put on our camouflage pants. We put on our best Hawaiian shirts. We drank furiously for hours on end. And we go to the movie theater, each carrying our own 6-pack in our pants and our bottom. By midway through the movie, the entire crowd was booing us. Bottles were rolling down the whole thing, and they came in like 3 or 4 times and said, "You guys got to get out." And we're like, "You're not gonna kick a bunch of frogmen out of this. Is our movie, you know." And that's
dude. All right, let's go further back than that. Rob Lowe, STVs. Remember that?
Which one?
The Finest Hour?
Yeah, I forgot that,
What's
dude.
Up? Boom, way back.
That's way back, brother. I think we've gotten a little off talking. One thing I want to say is, though, because moving into our interview here, the guys that come out there that do these movies and that have been in one arena and have shifted focus are really some amazing things. And this guy that's coming on, he's done that. He's in MMA, he was a UFC fighter, and then moved over, became a stuntman, and then now is into acting. But before we get there, you want to give a shout out to a couple guys first, right?
Oh, yeah, because Lone Survivor. I was on the set during that, and from the very beginning, when we started training all the actors up, and they did great. And then, the biggest part of that whole movie was through the stunts, because it wasn't CGI or anything like that. I mean, Kevin Scott, he was a stunt coordinator. He's been on so many movies. He's the man up there.
Right.
And then I got a chance to hang out with the stuntmen, Jeff, Zach, and you think team guys are crazy? These guys are nuts, and they're legacies. I mean, like my great granddaddy got set on by an elephant and then shot out of a cannon. Stuff like that. I mean, it's just like
I was in vaudeville getting sawed in half.
I mean, we go out and do the things that we do, but they know. Look at what they have to do the stuff on TV.
Yeah.
It makes people go, good God. Oh my God, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
When he hit that tree, I'm like, dude.
Holy cow. I mean, that's some serious stuff.
So, I mean, those guys were great. It was just a joy to be on that set and watch that go down in their profession and what they do, because you can't. although technology's kind of progressed and with the CGI and everything, those guys still got to get out there and do that. I mean, that's hardcore. So you can tell the difference between something that's been computer enhanced and somebody's like, man, that dude went through, he got it down.
You can see,
there needs to be an Academy Award
for best stuntman,
right?
Yeah. How come there isn't?
That is a great question.
That is a great question. So if anybody has the answer for that out there, send us in. We want to know, how come stuntman don't get an Academy Award? That's the best stunt of the year.
I mean, them guys should be just like the actors paid, right?
That's what I'm talking about. That's crazy. All right. Anyway, so let's get to it. So the guy that's coming on, this guy's amazing. He was on season 3, The Ultimate Fire, UFC fighter. He's a mixed martial arts madman, and then jumped over. He's been in movies like The Equalizer, John Wick, Cesario. He was in Breaking Bad, the TV show. Man, let's bring old Tait on the show, shall we?
Let's do it.
So I told you, Marcus, as we were talking about those guys, and we were talking about how they got into the fight constantly in their life, constantly coming back, and as I led him to bringing Tait on, man, it hits you in your heart because you know that he's a warrior like us. You know that he thinks beyond just the confines of a cage. He thinks beyond just the confines of a movie set, man. It's the influence he delivers on the Pirate Life radio. It's the influence he delivers with his friends, and we got him here right now. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Tait Fletcher. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you guys?
Great.
Oh, well, I tell you what, I'm fired up, brother. I'm fired up.
I got that message from you the other day, and just to get a voicemail from this guy, you're like, whoa, I need a coffee or something. I'm not excited.
Right? I mean, you got to save it, and you just put it somewhere. Wait a minute. I'm kind of down right. Hold on a second.
Good.
I'm good now.
Well, it's funny, man. It's like every time you come in, as you know, man, you get in certain environments that just kind of consume you, and they bring it out of you. They get you excited. And for me, it's sharing ideas with really smart, amazing people that can have great, powerful influence. I mean, when he and I get on this thing and we're able to, it's funny, our brains, we come from different kind of brain sets, but we meet in the middle, and then we bring in great people like you on, and to flush this out for our listeners, man, it's like a godsend, dude. So I'm feeling that right now, brother.
Love that.
And I always say it takes 3. It takes 3 to get that brains going.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, we
For us,
gotta bring somebody in and get that thing going.
All right, Tait. So we love having you on the show. Everybody's going to be super stoked. Don't worry. We'll talk about what you're doing in the future, but we want to get to it. But before we jump into the main squeeze of this whole thing, man, you got to go through what we call the Mad Minute. Now,
all right.
All right, you fired up for this? All right,
I'm excited, man.
All right, this is really cool. So the Mad Minute is used in some other aspects in the intelligence world when you're interrogating people and stuff like that. But for us, it's all about fun, man. It's all about interrogating your mind for fun. We want to do a little mental jujitsu here and just start, putting each other in those positions of fun and getting your brain working overtime. Are you ready?
Aces, baby. Aces. Ready to go.
All right. Here we go.
All right. Favorite superhero?
Thor.
You know what's bizarre? I'm going to tell you right now. We were literally talking about Thor last night. Yeah. Last night. And talk
about a superhero that, because right after the Americans, right, we got Spider-Man and the whole guy. Thor has been around. I mean, the dude has got some strength.
Is that why? Yeah. Is that why?
He's transcendent internationally throughout the centuurs. You know what I mean? Like Thor.
Over water, before airplanes and everything else.
Nobody beats. I dig it. All right. You ready? Here you go. A movie. If you had to watch one movie for over and over and over for the rest of your life, what would that movie be?
Is this me or Marcus?
You.
I'm going to say Tombstone.
Ah!
That's on the wall. That's on the list. Yeah. All right. First car.
My first car that I ever drove?
Yeah.
76 station wagon.
Of course it was.
It was awesome.
Of course
Did it have the wood paneling, dude?
It had wood paneling, and the back was just filled up with Budweiser cans all the time. I don't know how I ever got away with drinking and driving as much as I did as like a young teenager. It was horrible.
If the podcast does well, everybody we bring on, we're going to buy them their first car over again and have it.
Oh, that would be epic, dude.
We're like, hey, we got a present for you, brother.
Oh, my God. That would be awesome. All right, here we go. Second one. If you had to fight one, who would you choose? Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
Stallone.
College football or pros?
Pro.
If you were president for one day, what would you do?
Fuck.
That is exactly the answer you
First
should
thing in
have.
my mind is you can't kill the right people. You never know who the right people are.
Boom.
I guess the number one thing I would do is I would change out the fact that corporations own every politician there is. And so whatever that law was, I'm blanking on the name of it right now, where they made corporations people and that they could go ahead and give whatever money to any politician. I would get rid of that law.
Yeah, brilliant. I dig it, man.
All right, if you could be one of these guys in real life, would it be Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
Han Solo.
Intergalactic.
You're exactly what we need to show up from Earth.
All right, this is it.
I'm from Earth. What's
This
up?
is it. What's up?
That's what we got.
I'm the pirate. They'd be like, right on.
Right on.
I love it, dude. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. What is your greatest failure?
That I didn't start trying sooner.
I love it. Perfect answer, dude. That's epic.
Yeah.
That's epic.
Yeah, the belief in self. You know, I was listening to some of your videos earlier, and it's the belief in self.
Right.
It's like to get that early on, man. That what a jump start you have on life.
It will frame your whole consciousness of time, right?
Certainly.
If you are able to look inward for that moment where you're in the grind and say, you know what, I need to search and figure out who I'm gonna be.
My favorite part was the fact that he goes, you know what, I was watching somebody else's videos, meaning he just watched them, which, thank you for watching them, by the way.
Yeah, that's cool.
And now that I know, now that we're going to be buddies, I'll be listening to you all the time.
Oh, bro, wait till you hear his
You know, that's how I do it. Like if people are like, do you watch this sport? I'm like, nah, but if I meet somebody who's into it, man, I suck it in.
Dude, it was funny, man, because I saw him through, I got a buddy who is a big manager in UFC. His name's Lex McMahon. He manages Wonder Boy and Stefan Struve and a couple guys. Awesome. So he brought me into work with Stefan a couple years ago in his mental game a little bit. And that's where I first got really introduced. I've always been a UFC fan, but as I started piecing through and climbing through and I found you. And ever since there, man, your podcast is epic, dude. I love your style. It's just awesome.
Well, I think it's so goddamn important that thing, and I say it's a greatest failure. I have a hard time with it because the other thing is without the burn of the failure, I would never appreciate this scarcity of seconds with what time is and as it slips away. And so without the regret of going, I wish I'd have started that early, I let that burn in me still. That's a tool in my toolkit right now to where I can access that and go, death is right behind you, man. And so you better get busy. You're in it now. And so I think competition did that for me too. It embodied that more where I go, these are precious. I mean, maybe there's no scarcity of them. Maybe there's a limitless amount of them, but they're valuable. And what are you doing with these moments, Tait? And I think it's a real good, I mean, your failures are all tools, and I really value that. That's
awesome, dude. I love that. So that's a perfect segue into, why people are here, what they're really looking forward to with you coming on. And so we're just going to jump right in, brother. The question that we ask that every single person comes on and what the basis of this whole thing is about is, what is your greatest never quit story? Yeah, man. It's so, knowing that this is what you guys do. And first of all, just talking to guys that are SEALs is like, what am I going to say? Like when you go, oh, he's a warrior like us. That's a different thing. Like that's a goddamn different thing. It's one of the things that burned me up the most is when I hear guys talk about, the UFC warriors and cage. It's like, that's a different
goddamn thing than what you boys have done. And it's incomparable what happens for you guys. And it's something to the degree I talked to my friend Tim Kennedy about it a lot. And I can't know what that is. I have a facsimile of an idea of what it is through combat sports and things like that, and through what that brotherhood is and all these kinds of things. But I don't want to confuse. No,
and we appreciate that, man. We really do.
Are on a different level in a warrior class than anybody else that's breathing, and that's just how it is. And so I'll preface it by saying that.
Well, thanks, man. But we want to hear it, dude. We want to hear it. Give it to us.
Well, I would say it's a few minutes probably, but
take your time.
It's a never quit story. I remember. I guess I was going to tell the back first, but like. My life is characterized by a lot of missteps, right? By going down like they call it like via negativa, I think in Latin, like you go down the wrong road and you beat that road up before you go, this ain't working for me. And so I think that my life's characterized by a lot of that kind of thing. What that ended up for me was facing 25 years in a federal detention center on a bank robbery charge with a guy that I had, I'd known for a while, and we'd had some background together, and it turned. I didn't know. I wasn't privy to it at the time, but he was like, "Hey, man, I'm going to take your car, and I'm going to go get my girlfriend a present, and I'll be back." And we'd just gone up and bought a
that's awesome. Explaining it like that. I mean, hey, I'll put some gas in it for you, brother.
He comes back, and so it's my pistol, it's my truck, and he's robbed a bank. And I get picked up on the charge too, and then I've got a history so they hold me, like I'm charged with the same deal and all that. And so there's all this point, and there, and that whole past is riddled with a lot of colorful times of drug and and alcohol abuse, and that kind of typified my whole life since I was a little kid. And so then I'm locked up. I'm one of 5 guys in the cell. And nobody else is speaking English to me at all, and it's pretty uncomfortable. So there's a bunch of days like that stretch on, and I get let out, and in that time I get the benefit of seeing my mom in 5-point restraints through glass, and things that just kind of crushed me in that way, and I've been on this road for a long time, like I said, and when I get cleared. And they said, we can call you back at any time, stay close, whatever. I go and I get cleaned up, and I go, I got to change my life. My life's got to get different, man. I just can't, man. I'd rather die than live the life,
Right.
And so, I didn't see another life for me to live, really. I didn't understand that there was anything. And so I sobered up, and I kind of kept a road going, and I was around different people. I didn't know anybody where I was. I moved states recently because I was, I was selling guns and drugs in the last state I was like, it was a whole thing, man. And,
wow.
And so then, as far as a never quit story, I don't know if it is. It's a culmination of a life and a big 180-degree turn that I took. And so I'm uncomfortable. I'm serving coffee. I'm working in a kids group home, which is all to say I have 0 job skills that aren't going to land me in prison. And I'm living a rudimentary life at best. But I'm not drinking and I'm not using drugs.
Amen.
And so that was my big success in that way. But after a while, that's not getting it. And it's just not enough. And I had to change my mindset. I had to change my consciousness, I guess.
Absolutely.
And so,
well, that's a good point. I mean, so let me ask you a question. So when you decided to change your mindset, the paths were there, right? Because a lot of people say, sure. I'm stuck in this hole, there ain't no way out. But I mean, that's twofold, right? Their mindset's that way, and is there no way out? Because when you changed your mind, you found one. So that's a good point to make to people who think there's no way out.
I think the big thing is there's a lady, this little old lady, Jeannie Rigaud, and she was probably 70 at the time, and she was a devout Catholic, went to Mass every day at 7. And she was in it. Now, I didn't understand that at all, because I was like, this isn't something I can put my hands on. I don't see how that's useful. You're one of the smartest people I know, though. So, and what she said to me, and whenever she wanted to call me stupid, she called me kitten. She goes, kitten,
Awesome. That's a grandmother for you, right? That's what they do, man.
She was so kind in that way, you know.
Glorious.
She'd say, you know, kitten, there's no victim that ever gets recovery. You can't be a victim and recover from these things that are maladies to you. Nobody will ever succeed with a victim mindset. Wow. And so that kind of thing about an extreme ownership of my life is what it took for me. And so I got to a position where everything that I saw as a choice. My choices had made my feet, put them where they are. There's nothing I can point to that's an external thing. Now, that's not true. I could point to everything as an external thing. Right. This caused that. This guy did me wrong. Blah, 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 whatever. But there's no money in it. None. There's no love in it. There's no freedom in it. And the only freedom I found was by really owning every goddamn aspect of my life and going, I brought me here. Because if my problem remained you, and that's all I needed in my past, all I needed was a scapegoat. If I got somebody to point a finger at, I'm good.
Yeah, we were. Yeah, that right here.
We're here together.
This asshole made me do it.
It can't just be me. Homeboy's here.
You know, I could get people around me to understand it. People around me could be like, well, you are right. He did do you wrong or whatever, you know? And when I got out of that and I started going, I demand more of myself. I'm going to have a goddamn standard in my life. That was a big turning point for me in that way. And then, you know, I'm digging ditches. I was on a construction site at that time. I'm wanting to kill myself because, fuck, I'm a loser. I'm pouring coffee and digging ditches. And this is, I mean, I used to have a pocket of money, and now I'm here. And I'm like, maybe prison's better. But I started going, or you can change your attitude. You know, this dude told me, he says, you know, you're ready to cash your own check. You're free. You can do whatever you want. Try whatever. And next day when I went digging ditches, I was happy as fuck because I knew I knew the ditch needed to get dug. I can be happy about it or I can be sore about it. And do I want to go through life being sore about everything? And so then I just demanded happiness in my life. I demanded a more loving attitude of myself in my life. And when I did that, I found out that it didn't mean that I was going to be and I used to think if I fall in love with pouring coffee or with digging ditches, I used to think that meant that I was going to be rooted in digging ditches and pouring coffee for my whole life.
Yeah.
And I had to be kind of sore about it to get different. And what I found to be true is that falling in love with my life, no matter what it is that I'm doing, as long as it's not hurting anybody or myself, falling in love with my life is the thing that's a transferable skill, right?
Everywhere.
I can bring that into the next place, into my relationships, into everywhere. And the more loving I can be about everything. And then when I'm more loving and more kind, then bigger and better shit happens in my life.
It comes at you like a waterfall, man. What's remarkable to me, though, Tait, what I want to ask is, you said one day you're digging, you're miserable. You go home that night. What? I mean, was it literally a moment of clarity? Was it an epiphany? Was it what? I mean, what was the shift?
I believe that I was lucky in the, you know, I mean, my life is based on being fortunate about being able to hear the voices that were talking to me at the time they were talking to me. And maybe they were always there, but when I heard them and they took hold and a guy offered me another thing, he says, you know, you got to own your feelings. No job makes you feel shitty. No person makes you feel unloved. No, like, this is all inside work, Tait, and you need to own yourself. And I think that was the big, a big aspect of it for me, you know, was hearing that night. And he's going, listen, are you going to die tomorrow? And I go, ugh, probably not. Even though for years I'd hoped I would. Right. I just settled with the fact that I probably wasn't gonna, and I wasn't really going to kill myself. And so then I go, okay, so if you're going to be here tomorrow and you can either be happy and feel good about it or feel shitty about it, if that old Abraham Lincoln quote is really true, then I'm going to go ahead and try to feel good today, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other aspect of it for me, David, was super important. A dude says, hey, Tait, how many thoughts can you think at one time? And I go, I don't know, I guess one. He goes, yeah, there's only room for one thought in the mind at a time, right? So you have to be, he's like, he goes, that's why retarded people are so strong. He goes, yeah, I don't know if you guys ever fought I fought a retarded kid when I was in 5th grade, and he was strong as fuck. And,
awesome.
And he goes, the reason they're strong is because they're only thinking about that one thing. They're just thinking about squeezing or whatever it is they're thinking about. It's very simple. Right. And you make your life so complex. He says you scrutinize, you analyze everything that you paralyze yourself. And he said, so you
That's
can
how you
take
get old
one
and
thought
die.
at a time.
What's that?
That's how you get old and die. That's why like the
Yeah,
human
right?
condition is where the body is supposed to, what was it, Tate, 170 or something like that? But because of trying to transfer too many thoughts through there and focusing on too many different things is what ages. I mean, there's a lot of factors, obviously.
Well,
but
I like, and you brought this up the other day as we were talking about this, and I love how it connects right here with Tate. Is you think about it, the energy you can expend in your one thought in that moment is it creates the direction you're going to travel in your life, and you're in control of that directional thought at any minute. Now, what I want to hear in this, because it's fascinating stuff, brother. We haven't had anybody on talk about it in kind of these minuscule changes, right, like this. Although Dave Goggins really got into a unique place too. But
you can tell somebody's really gone all the way down. That's how
from that.
Because that's how you know when you're explaining it like that, and everyone grazes over they've been in some tough spots, right? But if the people who've been in the real tough ones, they give you you know what, man, I was tying my shoes the wrong way and for a couple, that kind of thing. You know, I mean, it does get down to the bottom, baby.
Yeah. In the bottom.
Yeah, in the bottom.
I love it.
I was listening to a thing about a basketball coach the other day, and he was saying he got so good because he would think about the minutia. He started thinking about he'd watch his players' laces when they weren't even playing, and he'd go, hey, let's relace that. And he'd teach them how to lace their shoes, because if you got a blister on that foot because of bad shoes, you'd play a bad practice, or maybe you'd be out, and then if you got into a game, then that loses seasons. And it's like the little shit matters. And so I started looking at the thoughts. And I go, listen, if you get one thought, it can be positive or negative. There's no gray area.
Nope.
And so the more positive thoughts, the more positive your life, the more negative, the more negative. And I just decided that. And I started thinking, if I tie my shoe on the left side before the right side, is it going to take me towards recovery more, or is it going to take me towards darkness more? And I just started really micromanaging my mind and kind of became a watcher of my mind, I guess. And I go, my thoughts can kill me, man. I need to be careful of my thoughts.
Plus, when people
that was, I guess, the big thing. And I guess I'd finish by saying, this lady said to me one time, I told my story at a high school one time, and she comes up afterwards and she says, I just don't know how you lived through that. And you know, looking back, I'm like, whatever. But what my thought was, I go, you don't think about living through it.
No.
That's not what I thought about. I thought about putting one foot in front of the other and getting across the yard without getting fucking stabbed or whatever. I'm not thinking about how do I get through this chunk? You get through the little stuff. And that's what got me through sport in little ways too. Like I'm getting beat down in the corner of a cage. How do I get to my elbow? How do I get to my hand? I'm not thinking about how to stand up. I'm thinking about little victories. Otherwise, it gets too big, right?
That's how I'm built too. I mean, it's kind of like the little mundane details keep getting back up. Because ultimately, all I have is I can take pain. A lot of it. And I believe in myself. You know, that kind of deal. Yeah, when you rebound from the body, it also makes it harder to knock us down. Because you have to knock us through each little barrier. When some people who built it up, they fabricate it, or they don't spend enough time practicing that one little skill before they go to the next one, well, then you'll bust right through that. But if you've built a base on not being special, just nothing but trained, things work out a little differently.
Well, we got a concept that we share a lot of time on air, and it's about coming to the realization of that self and wanting to move forward and going into the SEAL teams and the training and the program and really fulfilling the mindset at a higher level within a higher purpose. So after you now have decided, I'm going to live positive, I'm going to walk the path, what was the shift? I mean, where did you find, because you've led an incredible life, and I would like to just see what was next. Where did you sink into to where you were going to fulfill that momentary joy as step by step?
Well, I guess it's the same thing like what Marcus just said. Like I got no special aptitudes. I'm not probably, I don't know, guys say that I'm strong, but I don't feel like I'm super strong for my size. I don't feel like I'm got any abilities, but what I found out I was tough. Yeah, like you find out. People don't think of that as a skill set until you find out that other people, I'm like, I never knew what pussies other people were. I'm like, good God.
All I gotta do is outlast you, man.
Oh, you guys are awesome, dude.
It's true, man. I mean, I'd always look at these guys that were like wicked talented and this, that. I'm like, I'm just not that. And then I'll go, but I'll break you. I'll stay in it, buddy. You know.
Never thought I was good enough.
Right.
And I mean, and we were looking back at some pictures my brother found, my wife found when we were young, you know, and you see in the magazines where everybody's ripped up and shredded. And so you try to have been like that.
Yeah.
Well, we never thought we got there. But then I was looking at the pictures when we were young. I was like, okay, even without the Photoshop, you worked hard.
Yeah.
Just kept going on it. You know, those no talent guys, quit. Man, you train and train and train. You don't ever think you have it. And then all of a sudden you have shotgun past whoever it is you were trying to be like. And like I said, all it boils down to, and those are the guys that never forget where they came from because you've been beat down so many times. So it's tougher to knock them over.
Well, what I love to hear about it, Tait, is you find all of a sudden you discover this great skill set, right? Being tough, which is, I believe, it's part of your core, part of your soul, right? You know, that's where that stuff comes from. What did you do with that knowledge now?
I showed up. You know, I think the next thing you find out is that nobody's special. Because the guys that are special, that have aptitudes, they quit, right? And so the guy that works hard, that's the guy that'll put in reps every day. That's the guy you want to work with. I mean, if you're an athlete or whatever, I just want the guy that is driven, that has that gnawing in his guts, in his head, that, you know, like that a guy that's placated easily, I don't like him.
Yeah.
I like the guy that's not satisfied, man, because if you get satisfied, you kill your desire. I need a guy that's going to have desire in him, in his heart. And that thing about being tough to knock down, Marcus, I love that, because the other thing is, if you know you can stand back up and you know you can take the hit, you're able to deliver your hits better. The guy that's like kind of gun shy to that, he's easy to beat because he's never going to give you his best offense either, because he's afraid his defense is going to get crushed. Right. And if you don't care about that very much, you're in a way advanced position, I think.
Well, even not caring about it, you've already experienced it. We're past that. You know, is that what you got? Because I've been past that one with the last dude. You know, and the guys who have those special skills, man, what they miss, because where that comes into play is training, right? They have special something. Well, when they start getting hit, what they find is what they missed in training. All right, so the guy who has been training and been hit that way, he's already experienced it in training, where the special guy who doesn't have to work as hard and may not have had that yet. And the only way you get that is when you find out it's in there, because and it's too late.
There's still a void in that individual psychologically, right? There's still there's still a position of the unknown that they're desperately trying to backfill, that we have already experienced, right? That we've overcome, and we know we're not going to. You can knock us down and knock us down and knock us down, but there's that space in our mind that never's defeated.
Anyone who can hold on to that special skill set is because it's been tested.
Yeah.
In every way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only way that works. I mean,
I think guys, also my team. I think, you know,
right.
I would think about it and I'd go, you know what? I don't think I'm as good as this guy or whatever, but you know what? I know he's not better than Keith. And I fucking do, and I'm doing great, right? Like, and I would think like that. I would go, he's not going to show me magic. I train
that's tactics, right? That's how that. Yeah, exactly.
Pedestal. I think they're the best motherfuckers in the world, and I owe it to that team that's brought me to where I am to crush this guy. I have to show my best.
Well, I love that you talk about team, because that's a big thing for us, as you can imagine, where we come from and the importance of it. So when was the first time, as you're walking that path now and you're doing it, you're getting in, you found MMA maybe, or you found some other avenues.
Right.
When did you first start saying, all right, these people around me, they want to be around me because of that toughness, because of the direction I'm going. They want to be a part of that in their own unique way, but also to support me. Where did you first find that?
I think at Jackson's MMA. I mean, Greg Jackson's a fantastic coach in mixed martial arts, and Joey Villaseñor is an old school guy. He fought Robbie Lawler in Pride way back in the day, and he was a quickest knockout and King of the Cage champion. He'd fought all over the place, and it was when Pride and the UFC were both still the big heads. And he was like, "Well, let's get a belt in Pride." And it's the language that he spoke in. He would speak. I remember talking to Coach one day, and he's going, "You know, Coach, if we could get to 170, he says, I think we'd take the belt at Pride." And he spoke in that plural aspect instead of, I think I could make 170 and I could get the belt. And I go, and that just clicked for me, man.
That's
I
cool.
heard Joey talking. I go, yeah, we're together here, man. Like, we're together. And I also feel that way. Like, you know, when I buried one of my good friends, it's been a long time now, you know, back in the 90s. But I remember thinking, like, we're immortal in a way by the people we love and by the people that love us, by the way that we get built up. Like, Rory's etched on my heart in a way that is never going to be away. And I think that you know, has made me in a different way. And so I think all those, there's that connection, that unity. I think there's a spiritual aspect to us all. And I think the Christians call it like, you know, the Holy Ghost or whatever.
Holy Spirit.
You know, but there's a thread for sure that weaves through all of us.
Amen to that.
There's a connection in that. And I think our fear and our insecurities, our egos keep us from each other and our true selves.
Well, they're given to us by each other.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
You're not born with those. Those are instilled in you with the people you surround yourself with.
So it's learned. It's learned.
That's why anybody can be retrained. Everything you have from birth has been taught into you except for the smell and everything, all the senses, right?
Right.
Everything else is white noise and controlled by your mind. So if you boil it all the way back, it's like with a fighter. So if you've seen a fighter's head who just gotten beaten, the next guy he was fighting was one day younger than him. I tell him, I was like, he's one day younger than you. He has less. They back it all up into your head as far back as you need to.
Right.
Like, what if you were fighting this guy in high school? Who do you think would be tougher, you or him? You? All right, well, think about that while you're out there. You know, I mean, hit them with everything you got to rebuild it. Yeah, the imprint. Because always remember that a memory stored in the brain is not in there with a computer chip or anything, right? I have no idea. Morgan has a great idea. I don't have any idea.
His brother's a brain doctor, by the way, so we're waiting
but whatever
to get
it is,
him
it's
on
an
here.
electrical path. It's an electrical path, and you can lay something over the top of that.
I think about that too. I think like when you read, when guys read the Bible, it's like, I don't think that like Jonah lived in a whale, but like there's guys that do. And I think that the Bible's 100% true if they believe it is.
Amen.
I think that belief thing that you're talking about, Marcus, I think we are fucking powerful in our minds beyond measure that we can understand even, I think. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Oh, so look, when we three guys right here motivate each other with that, imagine, so the human mind, no one knows how powerful it is, but what if everybody on the planet thought about the same thought? The energy that sparked out from, and
I like how you talk about it in terms of energy, right? Your brain is using 20% of the energy your body could produces. It's one of the smallest organs in your body, but yet it consumes more energy than almost everything else. And when you focus those thoughts towards advancing in your life, towards pushing forward, acceptance of team, and then sharing those dynamic, those nurturing, amazing experience or negative experiences, whatever they might be, into a positive attribute, you see true growth.
Well, your body's got to drag through that. Your mind has the idea, right? Then you can't go down a path unless you look for it.
Yeah,
and then the body is gonna be a reflection of what's going through the mind.
Absolutely.
I say that right?
I'm tracking. I'm always tracking. I got you.
Yeah.
It made sense. So Tait, what I want to ask you is, so now you're surrounded by really amazing people. They're sharing in your path. They're building you up. They're validating your concept, and it's becoming truth. How did that shift your life when that truth really started to take hold in you? What happened next?
I think it's a tough thing, man, because it's not necessarily a light switch. Like, it's kind of like, if I go, hey, take vitamin C, it's good for you, bioflavonoids, and you'll get some antioxidants and stuff like that. And you take 8 vitamin C, and I go, how's it working for you? You're like, I don't know, maybe it works. You know what I mean? I give you OxyContin, you're like, this works. And so I think that like the change in my life is like vitamin C, right?
That's so awesome, dude.
I don't see that until there's years down the road, really, of it. And so I wish I could say there's a culminated thing, but that team thing is a huge thing because it allowed me to get out of me. I stopped living a life that was based on self, and I started living a life that was based on others. And I started to look instead of like what could help me, but how could I be useful to others? And another thing that happened for me, I'm working as a bouncer in a bar, And I remember I just needed more money. And it was the same time I was fighting. And I was like, I need more money. And then I was listening after we took out the trash and stuff. And my boss was this lesbian lady named Donna Lee. And Donna Lee was talking to her girlfriend and saying, I just don't know how we're going to, this event next weekend better make money because I don't know how we're going to make the rent. And I thought, God damn, she needs money too. And I go, if she loses this, then I lose this. And it was the first time I really started looking at it. And I go, if she does better, you'll do better. Right. And I never had that concept before. And so I started looking at how can I make her more money? How can I make her do better? And so I started talking about her bar at places all the time when I was out. I started I shifted my consciousness into that. And when I did that, that was a training ground, the roots, the vitamin C that started growing up and dictated the next, dozen years of my life or whatever after that.
Wow, that's an awesome story. And we feel that too. I mean, because when we talk about this all the time, when you walk into Buds, it's this whole internal self component where you want to see if you can stand with those other men that have made it through. You want to prove yourself.
How old were you guys when you did it?
I was 23.
22.
22,
that's
yeah.
That's good normal age.
Right, that's the average. And so, but just like you're saying, though, it was that consciousness of shift where it no longer had anything to do with me at all about my success. And all I wanted to do was to motivate the dude next to me to be better, man. And that was the conscious shift for me. Same thing, dude.
I like to explain it like this, the vitamin C. I mean, that's a good one. I take that one on board. But remember when you get hurt and you get out of shape, or when you were young and you started to work out?
Yeah.
You don't really know how much progress you made, no matter how much you look at yourself, to that one person goes, hey, what's going on here? And you never go back to the place you were at. I mean, that one positive, one person has to say, man, it looks like you've been working out. Oh, dude, it's working. And then at that, that you had, in my mind, it was always, all right, now I'm at that point where it paid off. And then you work out harder and you work out longer, and that's in your head. And somebody was like, Jesus, man, you just slow down. Well, it's really doing good.
Right.
And then with the coaches, with the fighters, especially the newer fighters coming in, like, hey, your coach is always going to tell you you're good and what you're capable of. And when you get into that fight and you win, then you're like, oh, coach knows what he's talking about. You got to try it.
Validation.
All that stuff is set. And the words are words. When we get out here and we solidify it with a win or whatever it is, then like, okay, and that's your baseline right there. And then you push forward after that.
All right, so I got
competition. You don't really get that. It's a tough thing to get. And that's what I'd love to ask you guys too. Is like, without that, like, what do you think as far as like, as far as life goes and crucibles that kids can go through? Like, there's not a lot of that. There's not a lot of proving grounds. There's not there, and you get all these kids that have all this confidence, don't have any merit, and they got no reason to be confident. I mean, I got all these guys out here, and they want to, like, whether they want to get paid or whether they want to be under the lights or whether, I'm like, a guy told me the nicest thing when I was in my early 20s. He says, hey, stupid, why don't you shut up and go get yourself a reputation? Okay? Why don't you build who you're going to be, have some goddamn character, go have adventures. And, but
everybody wants to start out with one. Yeah, everybody wants to start out with a reputation.
Like it's rubber stamp because you got opposable thumbs. Dude.
Well, I heard somebody the other day saying there's a new invention out that gets you in shape, and it was pull-ups. So it's there, dude. You know what I'm talking about? It just, guys like us, when it comes to them younger kids, like, hey, you better get into the Boy Scouts. After that, we're going to teach you how to fight, to fish. Hey, we're going to put some education in you, teach you a little religion.
Well, it's not just that, man. It's I've been, my transition in life happened because of feeling empathy for kids and wanting to create my program, Frog Logic, for kids initially. And so I spent a lot of time researching our educational system, the shift in societal norms, but
he nailed it, man. And you're right, because technology is great, and these kids are plugged in, and they got, on social media, he's got 1,000 friends, but he goes to talk to one of them in real life. He has no idea how to converse, because an LOL over your screen and then somebody having to actually do it in front of you, it could be sarcastic. Everyone perceives something differently, and the less time you spend face to face with each other and through that screen, they lose that. And that's a big component too.
Well, brother, this started way before the internet, way before social media, man. This started in the late 70s, and culminated in 89, 90, where they changed some laws about accountability in school and education, teachers being able to discipline kids.
Yeah, you're going down.
I'm going way back. I'm talking about
That's a deep
cataclysmic shift in the way we raise our society, to where we've stripped out those crucibles. Like you said, but we've stripped them out.
There's no more rites of passage in a huge way,
in a massive way. So to tie this together, though, and to bump this down the road, because I think we could camp out here forever, though.
Sure.
The people that are listening right now and are already just hyper engaged to your story, Tait. They're sitting in that moment where, all right, it's crucible time, man, and so. Help them understand that the crucibles are perpetual, that they're always there. And if you could share a later story on maybe when you ended your career in MMA or started your next career, whatever.
That's a great segue. I think the big thing is that looking at that is that I was always looking when I was a younger guy. I was like, retirement will be great. When I could just retire and do nothing. All I knew is I wanted, summertime every day, and it's a real weak outlook is how I look back at it. But, and now I look at a place where I'm like, I couldn't imagine retiring. I couldn't imagine. There's so much that I want to do and I want to accomplish, and I feel like I want to push forward, that like, there's no time to fuck about and not be producing, is one thing. The thing about switching, especially like being a fighter or being like, it's, one of the hardest things for the ego is to become new again, to become fresh, to become a baseline. I try to become fresh and a baseline every morning. And
I love that.
And go out and
start over every day.
You have to. You just must get into that mindset of being a student, right?
Amen. Amen to that. That fires me up.
So that becomes the thing. If I can reset my day at a baseline, I can go learn, and then I don't have an ego about like, oh, I'm supposed to be the toughest guy here or the smartest guy here or maybe the most handsome guy there. And I can just be a guy that's going to go out and be of service and maybe learn something along the way. And I think that's one of the hugest parts. And when I stopped being a fighter, as my job, I look at it and I look at a lot of guys. I watch guys that went before me, and I watched how it turned out for them. And I watched guys that stayed too long, and that's a sadness. There's a lot of guys that you suffer some brain injury anyway. But then as you get older and you already have brain injury, well, you're not as quick. Your reflexes aren't as fast. There's a lot of things that get mitigated with that. And then it gets more pronounced because you're hit more, and then your timing is off, and there's all that stuff, and I didn't want the fighting to dictate when I stopped. But what that means is that you got to confront your ego, and there's no kids that are in the store going, "Oh, that's that guy because that feels good, makes you feel good." Now, who are you if you're not that guy? There was a meeting I was at earlier, and a lady expressed that she's like, I just retired from my job, I'm changing careers or whatever. And I'm trying to have a different life in this way and that way. And I just don't know who I am anymore. And I go, I need you to consider that you are not who you were because of what you were doing. And that you're not going to be who you are because of what you're doing next. It's like you are maybe something different than the things that you do. And now in that way, you can express the things that you want to do in a better, more full way, I think. And I think that speaks to the person more, because who are you when you're stripped away from your money, your job title, all the things that make you you? Who are you at this level? And then you can go out into the world and ask yourself that, but it's a dark fucking place to look into. People don't like to look at that part of themselves. No. And I got forced to going out of fighting and going, now who are you? And you asked me like earlier about my biggest failure or whatever. And I look at that and I go, it's like what Marcus was saying. I got comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what Coach Jackson would say all the time. You got to get comfortable where other men are uncomfortable. And I got comfortable not being the best, but I fucking learned to try. I'm always going to try. And so that's the thing, like even going into an audition room or going in and putting myself out there, and you're burying yourself in a different way that's weird and odd and all this stuff. But I'm going to get told no 1,000 times, and I'm okay with it. I'm going to keep trying. You know what I mean? And that's what like an audition process is into being an actor or something like that. You're going to get told no a lot. It's all going to look like success to everybody watching because they're never in the room when you're told no. You know what I mean?
At all. They don't.
Right.
And that's hey, that keeps those guys humble too, man. Where they got to, I was in a great movie, but I got to go re-audition for the next one. And when I was listening to him say that, I was like,
it's
act like you
redefining.
Right, even if you go in as a CEO, always go in like you working in the mailroom. Yeah, I've been working in the mailroom for 30 years. That's how I got that Bentley that just dropped me off. Yeah, that kind of deal. You just always think like that.
Yeah, I dig it.
And you got to worry about a champ who comes in and starts off his day, doing the jumping jacks and then sweeping the floor. The guy that goes, remember, he comes in there every day not thinking he's a champ, thinking he's the new guy. And he just happened to beat his training partners, the one that never that buys into the fact that it's done, that I have the belt. I don't have it. It's just they keep it at my place.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
That the watchdog.
It's renting a spot at my place. That's the thing, man. If you're rich, you better show up to your day like you're poor.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we had the only easy day was yesterday. Meaning, we did everything great. I mean, or we got through it, but we show up next day. You're a new guy.
I mean, I can't. You hear all the time. I can't get nourished off yesterday's sandwiches.
No,
I can't breathe yesterday's air. Right. And so that thing about who I was or who I used to be, that ain't gonna help me. Maybe. I mean, maybe it builds a base, but I got to be fresh every day, man.
I was wondering about the transition with guys like us. So you and I transitioned out of the teams. We're not team guys anymore.
Yeah.
I really don't even do anything that we did in there. I exercise. When you transition over to stuntman and you gave up fighting, do you fight for exercise kind of deal? It's still part of your life in some kind of...
Yeah, man.
Good question.
I mean, we're all... I feel like this, man. I feel like we're all whores.
Don't burn any bridges.
What I mean in that is that we're all selling our bodies, we're selling our minds, we're selling our talents, our charisma, or whatever it is. And that's what everybody does. I don't care if you're a housewife,
absolutely.
I don't care if you're an athlete. You're selling your ass.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up. So
that's exactly what it is. You strip away money and everything, then
the right price.
It's for the right price, right? And what your value is on yourself, and that becomes a very real thing after you make that transition. Because for us, and I went through a horrible transition, getting out, caved in, went back to my dark spot, driving my motorcycle in bars and beating people up and crazy stuff, and because I wasn't comfortable with that redefining process, and it's taken me 10 years to get out. Now I'm living in that space you're talking about. But the big thing now, is not just the humbleness or what's new about life every day, but then to take really and understand that my experience and the breadth of my experience, there's value to it.
Right.
And I can bring value, and maybe it's not value like a doctor's ability to do that.
See, that's the deal. That's what I was saying. We were talking about if you strip away money and then to survive, you have to survive on what you're capable of. Well, then the doctor will make money off of being. I'm talking about you use your skills you have as a human, and then we invented the money part to show you how important you are, how important that skill set is. That's why doctors get paid. And now
you're saying find that passion.
Right. I mean, it's all there. The only way you're going to be successful is find out what you do great inside of you, not what somebody tells you to do. Because if you took the money away, would you still be doing what you're doing now?
Exactly.
If you're not any good at it, you better find something that you are good at. And that's when you got to be careful with the technology as that progresses. Well, everybody's good at that. There's only a select few who can write that code. You better have a smile that goes along with it.
I mean, you're tracking. So I want to go back to you, Tait, and I want to ask you this because, although we had this great segment before you came on about great fighters that became actors, and it was really phenomenal. Like we brought up, Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee and really these wonderful
those guys were doing exactly what these fighters did today in martial arts, especially because there was no fighting circuit.
No.
So they were a great fighters. We'd fight in the streets, man. And then the movie thing was where they could do it and get paid. Again, going back to their skill set, making a living off of it, what you're great at. And that goes down. You can cut through every generation with that, even the young ones. Hey, whatever you're great at, be really good at it.
And Tait's representing that modern era. And listen, I'm going to give you a shout out, bro, because I tell you what.
You can jump between stuff. There's not one thing that defines you.
Exactly. But there's a question coming up. So just bear with me. You're the baddest bad guy there is out there, hands down, dude. I'm telling you what, dude. I watch The Equalizer every time it's on. I skip to the end.
You're the guy everyone knows the name. No, I know who you're talking about. What's his name? I don't know what his name was.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's him. You're the baddest bad guy on the planet. And when you posted the other day about you getting flipped by Ben and Affleck and the accountant, dude, I'm like, yes, dude, that's fired up.
That's great that you know by your reputation what comes with it.
Not that because his acting, you're a bad dude and so you're acting as matching it in a way. Tell me, please help me understand, because you're passionate about what you do, who you are every single day. When you show up and the lights go on and the set goes and the director goes action, man, are you feeling passionate in that? And are you really, is it fulfilling to you in the way your previous life was?
Is there anything like walking into the cage?
Yeah, is it fulfilling?
You're chasing the rush. Let's make that clear too. I mean, we do all this because the end game, there's a feeling you get. And if you hadn't walked into the cage, the greatest trip I have is being at the fights. You hear all the fans calling them wimps, and I'm like, dude, you have any idea what it takes just to walk down the down?
And get in there.
That's the number one worst part, right?
I mean, once that first punch, anybody's been in a fight knows what the first punch is thrown, it's over. I mean, then you're relaxed.
Yeah.
It's that damn walk down to the cage, you're like, oh man,
So true, man. It's the buildup. It's easy to get in a fight in a bar, go out and smack somebody, and that's the. But you go out in 2 months, every day of every second of every day, you're thinking about it's a different thing, man.
Right.
It's a trip.
Would you go to the bar if you knew you were going to get in a fight?
Probably not.
No, that's my point. It's like, you wouldn't get dressed up and drive down, or drive down to the bar
I sure wouldn't wear my good pants.
Gosh.
All right, so
I'd be down there in sweatpants or something.
I know.
All right, so
Don't ruin my shirt, dude.
Do I get that? Yes, absolutely. When it's all on you to lose, and they go action. That's the feeling. I fucking love that, man. I love it. There's a book called The Rise of Superman. You guys got to read.
Oh, all right.
It gave verbiage to things that I'd always felt for my whole life. Of why am I addicted to that rush, and what is that, man? You guys will relate to this 1,000%. It's really awesome. The Rise of Superman, it's called.
You know what I think?
Someone just told me about this book last week, man, and it's the second time. And I'm the kind of guy, Tate, when the flags are going off, that I click in and I get into that energy, man.
Start to pick up from everybody. We're doing. Tate just brought that up, man. It's like everybody. You listen to everybody's story and no matter what they do in life, right? There's that end game that gives them that feeling,
right?
And everybody, to achieve that. So the adrenaline you get from walking into the ring or going on the set is the same rush we get when we head out the door.
Yeah,
in us, it comes from the same place, and it's the same kind of rush. And then those guys.
When I press record on this laptop right here, I get it, man. Well, that's right my point. Now I got it.
That's my point. Is everyone thinks that the only way they can get that rush is by doing this, and that's. You can do look what he did. He's chasing that. He still gets it. That's worth living. That's what living is.
Well, what I love about it, what really blows me away, Tate, and now you're even you're reinventing yourself even more with your podcast and running the coffee company, and I'm sure you got a million other. What are some of the other amazing things that you're doing in your life right now, brother?
Well, one thing I want to say before I go is that thing about you're saying about the rush, and when you guys get your boots on and you get the call and you're like, it's time to go. I had a friend of mine, and I thanked him a bunch for his service and all that. And he goes, and he'd lost both his legs. He was a Canadian sniper, and he stepped on a mine, and guys had stepped on it before him, but he was like 250. He was a lot bigger than the other guys. And it must have whatever. But he goes, soldiering's all I like to do. He's like, I would go do it right now if I could. He says, nobody got to thank me for doing that. Like it was an honor and a privilege. And he says, and it's a hell of a lot of fun, It's like, and I think that's the thing. And it goes back to what you were saying earlier, Marcus, that turns me on so much. And especially when talking to kids and stuff, they all want to look at how to make money. They all want to look at but that's not what you want. You're asking the wrong question, kid. What you want is, how do I become fulfilled in my life? How can I bring happiness and prosperity to my life? Well, that might not look like money. I know so many people that are slaves, and they are lawyers or engineers or whatever they want to do. Now, I know guys that are lawyers and engineers and all that are turned on by that. But the thing is you fall in love with the thing that you're in love with your life, and other people will be interested in that too.
Amen.
Tony Hawk never thought that he was going to make money as a fucking skateboarder. He fell in love with skateboarding.
Yeah.
Kelly Slater never thought he was going to become the highest paid athlete by being a surfer. But, you know, and so those are the things, is you do what you love, and then you get to be excellent at that thing. And when you're excellent, man, that's transcendent, brother.
Transcendental.
And that's what we need. That's what we need, you know? So I just wanted to say that before I.
No, it's spot on. I mean, like we go out, we say, you know, you go make 1,000,000 memories and save $1 from each, and then when you get it, you'll know those memories will have taught you what to do with it.
Yeah.
I love that, dude. I love that.
When you're in your 20s and your early 30s,
what the hell do you need all that for?
That's you're out there sharpening the sword and making money later. Don't even worry about money.
You're learning how to fight. The battle is at the end down there, and then when you take all those skill sets, get in your battle, and that's the win. You know, it's just the journey.
That's the win. So share with our listeners now, you know, how you've, I mean, what is just
all the other stuff I'm doing.
Yeah, tell us about everything, man. And
all right. Well, I people are like, how do you interweave your whole life? Like, I'm writing a book right now. I've got this Pirate Life Radio is my podcast. I've got a coffee company with Lacey Mackey and Keith Jardine. Keith and I, our lives have intertwined for 20 years almost now, through being training partners to then being in movies and then starting a coffee company together. And so we run that, and we've been open in about 3 years. It's called Caveman Coffee, and we're a single origin, single estate coffee. We just both love coffee.
That's cool.
And Lacey loved coffee, and then we met these guys that we wanted to promote their coffee brand with, and they're like, well, you guys can start your own thing and do this. And so we started our own Caveman Coffee Company. We got this single estate coffee, and we have been pushing that, and we've been pushing it. Basically became from a healthy lifestyle. We started looking at ketogenic diets, and we started looking at how to best utilize, especially as aging athletes, of getting your hormones balanced and having a way that you can eat that's sustaining and it's lovely. Because Keith and I, when we would diet before, it's suffering. It's like you're eating, here's a quarter of a dry ass chicken breast that you can have with some mustard and a half a cup of rice, and you're measuring everything, and it sucks. Dieting sucks. And then I started looking at things in a different way, and I go, wow, you can eat delicious whole meals, and if you just eat the right macronutrients, you can get sustained. And so then we started doing fasts and stuff where you weren't nutritionally depleted. You were having fats in your coffee and having MCT oil and things like that. And then we started looking into MCT oil, and that started to mitigate TBI, and it started to help repair the brain. It's got all kinds of good functions for you. And then it's good for your skin, and it's good for, you know, it's good for all types of things.
Wow.
And so we started looking into that, and that was kind of the outset of that company. And then I was on Breaking Bad for the last 5 episodes. It was the first time I had a chunk of money in my pocket. And then a buddy of mine that I used to, you know, I knew from the club business back in the day, and then I used to box. His brother was an awesome boxer, and we used to train all the time together. And he calls me up from Dallas, and he goes, hey, brother, you want to invest in this thing? I'm going to start my own nightclubs. And I go, I don't know, like, what are we talking about? He says, I just need money to secure the spot. And so I said, okay. And so I wrote him a check with all the money I had in my account, and we secured this spot. And I go, because I go, fuck, I've been broke before. And I go, let's roll the dice. And life was going good and whatever. And so I did that. And then we started these bars called Concrete Cowboy. And there's one in Dallas, there's one in Austin, and there's one in Houston.
Yeah.
And so, and we'll be starting one up in Chicago here in the next couple months. And now we're looking to go into Frisco also, where Jerry Jones is building a new stadium for the practice guy. Anyway, and then that turned into a thing, and that's been 3 years now, and it's been running. It's been doing great, and so that turned into a great other thing I do, and I promote that on my podcast. And then, you know, I'm always going to auditions and always acting, and I'm always in classes. I'm always training. I'm trying to be new every day, trying to be fresh. Now, you know, it behooves me to take care of my money. I want to be a good steward of the things in my life. So now I got to learn how to do goddamn QuickBooks and stuff I don't really want to do, but I got to make sure that everything's good, you know. And you know, last year I was in a spot, and this is like a whatever, like, you know, I got my mother I've been a terrorist in her life for my whole youth, you know,
right.
and and I'm in a position where I you know, was able to buy her a brand new car last year, and I was able to
take care of mom.
like take care of her. And the biggest thing is that, like, by living a life of contrary action, of not looking for immediate gratification and all that stuff, she's not scared of where I end up. You know, she can count on me. She calls me for advice. So, like, there's been this whole transformation of my life in that way. And a lot of it had to do with just being unequivocally responsible and disciplined. And I never thought that responsibility or discipline was something I wanted in my life. And so those are some of the things that kind of brought those about. And so then I write, I talk about this on my podcast. I get to come on y'all's podcast and do this. And my whole life kind of weaves together in that way. And you know, and not every day, man, I wish I could wake up every day and be like, boom, let's do this, knocking it out of the park. But I don't, man. Some days I wake up and I'm like, I just want to pull the covers over my head. I don't want to do this. And then, you know, I remember hearing, I think it was, I read an interview of Lady Gaga, of all people.
Yeah.
And she goes, you know, everybody thinks I'm this and that and this massive artist. And she goes, like, I don't want to do it every day. And then I put my feet on the floor. I get up, I look in the mirror, and I go, God damn it, you're Lady Gaga. Get out there and be that for people. And it's like, and that's been the beautiful thing, is like what makes somebody successful, I think, is a few things, but like what helps guide me and keeps me focused, right, is the fact that there's people that I built into my life that are counting on me, and I'm not going to goddamn let them down.
I love it.
And I build those people in my life. And so I think, as far as having a successful life, who I surround myself with is implicitly important. And it can't be sycophants. It can't be people that are telling me I'm great. It's got to be people that are pushing me and that are challenging ideas, and that then are building ideas and growing their lives in a way with a standard as well. And I think that's maybe the most important thing. And then I guess, you know, if people go, well, what's the success? You know, you're successful. And I go, define that. Define success for me. Tell me what that is.
Right.
And most people have never thought of it. And they think about money, you know, and I go, okay, I give you $1 million. Are you successful? No. So what's success? And so then that's where I got this idea for this book. And I started writing. I go, I think it's having dominion over your intellect, and over your emotions, and over your physicality, and over your spirituality. And if you're not balanced in that self, it's like what Marcus was talking about, like raising a kid or something. I think it's like that. It's like, I want to teach that guy how to fight. I want him to know how to take a punch. I want him to know how to fall down and get up off a bike. I want him to know the history of all the gods. I want him to know about Euclid. I want him to know about the Constitution of the United States. I want him to be well-read. I want him to know how to ballroom dance and play the piano. I want them to be well-versed, because so often we get so singular and segregated in this life that you got the nerds over here and you got the athletes over here, and the nerds are going, those jocks, they can't even read a book or whatever. And you got all the jocks going, those guys, they're not even tough, and they couldn't last in this world anyway, no matter what. Neither of those things are true. They're both the same retard. Right. They're both undeveloped. And so how do you bring it all together? Because at any point where you're not able-bodied or thoughtful or able to critically think, you're doing a disservice to community, your family, and your state, and your country, and the whole world. Like, you're not utilizing God's gifts to become the best that you can be. And I think that becomes an affront to me personally. I feel like offended if I behave in that way. And the only one I get offended at is me, man, when I'm falling short of my goddamn standard. And so I think that becomes the thing. And I think lastly about success is that, you know, I would like to think that all the guys that helped me when maybe nobody would have or could have or needed to, I'd like those guys to look back and go, man, I didn't waste my time on that kid, you know? And I think that's what it looks like. Well,
I'll tell you what, Tait, man, and from these two crusty old frogmen sitting right here, you're one hell of a success. And it's not because of, you know, the physical accomplishments. It's about what you believe, and you made me feel it, and you reaffirmed and all the things that, you know, I've been searching for. And brother, I just want to thank you for sharing that with our audience. I mean, you're a special human being, man, and I'm gonna pray for you and just so blessed to know you now, and I'm really looking forward to, you know, keeping in touch and just sharing life with you, dude.
I can't wait. Whereabouts are you guys located right now?
Texas.
Yeah, we're in Houston right now recording, and then I live in South Florida, and Yeah. So
the best part when we do this now is so we brought you on, and you and I never knew each other, but now I know that dark stuff, and you know the dark stuff about me. So now, I mean, that's what takes forever when people are becoming friends. That's what takes so long to figure out.
Yeah,
man, you threw that out in the open. The rest of the stuff is easy day. So
that's the thing too about I think about growing up as a man in a way is like I think about these things and I go. The only way I used to know how to get together with you is if we're going to do a crime together, we go rob a house together, and then I know if you're solid or not. Or if we go share a bottle of vodka together, now I know more. Like, what are healthy ways that you can get to know? And I go, hey, man, what if there's no threat in being vulnerable? What if there's no threat authentically who you are? You know? And I didn't learn that until fucking way later, you know?
Well, that comes with being able to handle yourself, because it's not vulnerable if you can handle yourself.
Yeah,
and you know those guys who get older who can do that, the best fighters, man. They just, like, guys, could you not be? Why are you so nice? I thought you were the champ. I am the champ. I like being nice. You get crossways, I will bust your ass.
Well, Tait,
I mean, that kind of thing.
Thank you so much for coming on, and I'm really looking forward to having you in the After Actions Report, and we're going to talk more about the actual how-to, the minutia, those details that you shared with us. And just, again, man, it's just such a privilege and an honor to hear you talk and share, and you've come so far, and man, I just feel blessed right now, man. I appreciate it, dude.
Thank you guys, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, brother. Dude, that guy's mind, I mean, my mind just went like this. My mind just flexed. I mean, have you ever felt where your mind just gets bigger from someone when they drop knowledge on your head like that?
You see somebody on TV and they're bigger than life, and then you meet them in real life and they're
that's the dude,
right? The time that back in the day, my brother's the one that started getting tattoos. But when we got, so we didn't start till we were in the teams.
Oh, I remember you coming through. You were clean.
Right? Remember,
yeah.
Clean shaven, too.
I mean, you
weren't even growing hair, bro.
You were young, dude. You were young. You were still shitting Bud's chow,
right?
Man, sure.
Good Lord. And then your young ass was training. That I tell you about the SEAL teams right there, man.
I was super young, man.
I'm a new guy in the teams, but the senior guy is 27.
I was 31, but
no, but that's my point.
Yeah.
Especially with the
but I was,
wars.
because I was one platoon wonder, man. I mean,
the wars jump. It doesn't matter. Team guys are trained by team guys.
Yeah.
We're not. I mean, you retire. Hey, the old man retires out. Is still young and human.
Oh, totally.
Just beat the shit. But I remember him talking about it doesn't really change anything till you go outside the sleeve.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
And you hear people like, he looks a certain way, and that gives looks give nothing away.
No,
they only reveal parts of the man.
Oh, and Tait, that dude's revealing some.
Right, he wears
pirate life.
Right, that mask on the outside, and then there's obviously two types of pirates. I mean, he'll scare the hell out of you, but then that's a beautiful part about. Imagine meeting him for the first time, though, in a dark or something like that, man. And even when he doesn't smile, you're like, God dang it,
dude. I'd be reaching right for my piece. Right. My stuff would be out.
We ain't fighting, man.
I will shoot you.
I'll hit you with the truck.
You're gonna get a 5-round rhythm drill in your chest before if you even flinch wrong.
Our gift is we size people up real fast. As soon as you see his cauliflower ears, I'm like,
my God,
I ain't even gonna mess with you. And then he's the nicest guy.
Well, that's the cool part, right?
And those guys who train their lives for that action, team guys especially, man, they're usually the nicest guys on the planet. It's not a misconception. It's part of that.
Right.
Like, he's probably, he is that, but he's also a nice guy.
Well,
why? Which one do you want to meet?
Exactly. And that's what he was talking about with that energy transference, right? Yeah. He's going to put it out. And if you're not receptive and you're going to push back with that negative insurgency, right? And really just try and bring him down, he's not even going to worry about it. It probably makes guys
feel good about getting their ass whipped by him.
Totally.
Man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I upset you, man.
Dude, I'm so thankful that you kicked my legs out.
Guys like that, right, exactly. They put an ass whip on you that you need. They gonna kill you or nothing.
And then you're your best friend for your whole life.
Exactly.
Dude. Remember back when?
Well, that's the way it was back then.
Totally.
And you had to promise somebody will sell it, and then you're good to go.
Then your buddies, right? And another thing about the dude that I love is the more, coming from the fact that he was facing a long stretch, that he was a dirty, rotten scoundrel, and that little old lady snapped him into position, and then all of a sudden he's been on this journey, this unbelievable journey of bettering himself every day, not for himself, but for others, and now he's having this wonderful success. He's doing great. And we're able to connect with him in that space, right?
And that was my favorite point he made, was that the older generation than us, man, people put them in homes. You keep them around.
Oh, yeah.
On top of being a wealth of knowledge, I mean, cutting to the chase kind of deal.
Right?
But the way they put things, grandmothers need to be a certain age to be grandmothers.
Right.
And when he's like, he called me stupid when he called me sweetie.
Yeah,
I got that too.
Oh,
yeah.
awesome.
It's like, you dumb bastard. But honey, and the way they say it, and they can say it like that because they've been around and they just realize that, man, I am just being a kid, a guy, a man growing up. We do foolish things. Women put us on our paths.
Oh,
perfectly clear about that.
Well, what I also love too is this is a guy that is not wasting his breath. He's putting his breath, he's putting his focus and his time in the right places. But his humility.
Well, that's that know yourself.
Right? 100%. And what I loved is his humility is, it's infectious. I just want to spend more time with Tait. I want to get to know him. I want to hang out with the
Even
dude.
if he was out selling vacuum cleaners, man, he'd be motivated to do it. But that's the difference. Being motivated doing anything, and also being motivated and knowing what you're supposed to be doing.
And he said it's just as much.
Because that's when it falls into place.
Totally.
You don't have to worry about making money if you're out there being motivated doing what you're supposed to be doing. That part comes. If you're out motivated to do something else, that's just working.
It is just
improving the motivation or dialing it in, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I tell you what, man, having Tait on, I'm so blessed. And I hope you listening, what you heard, man, that is not normal, all right? That's a guy that has been working diligently for 20 plus years to get to a position of where he has been awoken. Right?
I'd say that not normal to shift that many different times and be successful, either having to do it or not having to do it, because that's the point, is everyone has that motivation in them. It doesn't he started digging in the ditches down on the bottom, right? And then he finds something and becomes successful. What do we say, man? We master nothing, understand everything.
Right.
Be successful in everything.
That's what I'm saying.
What if you were mediocre at everything you applied yourself to and made money from it? Good Lord. You know what I'm talking
about? That's what I'm saying. And what I also, like, my old man used to tell me this all the time. He's like, son, when you imagine yourself in the future, make sure you link that imagination to being a Renaissance man. And, I hadn't studied art history.
Did he talk like that?
Oh,
because I'd have done drugs too.
Oh, tell me about it. Tell me about it, dude.
Hey,
Pop, if you're listening, you drove me to it.
Call him the judge. Like we refer to the
judge. Dude, he is the judge, man. He is the judge, man. He would break in. I'll tell you what, me and my buddies would be a wreck on Saturday morning or Sunday morning, sleepovers. He'd come in over and over. And he'd talk, and we wouldn't understand a single word, but he kept doing it and kept doing it. And finally, it's just like, all right, I'm getting up. Anyway,
stop.
My point is looking back when you start to imagine, what does a Renaissance man look like? What does a person that is excited about everything in life truly look like? And I'm telling you, it looks like Tait Fletcher.
Well, as a man. Right? And it's just that component of everything that drops into that, and not giving up on one thing if it's not the best part of you. If it's that part of the, where am I going with that?
If you're passionate and you identify something that inspires you and makes you better, it solidifies the direction you're trying to go, becoming the man.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
Right. It's that part that makes you up.
Right.
One of my buddies died today, right? And you know how I am. Yeah. So all my weaknesses are covered down by their strengths. So we're exposed
right now, for sure.
When everyone's wondering, like, man, Marcus, you're right. That's what I've been thinking about. Like, I lost my buddy, man. We're exposed. We lost one, and that's never happened. But that's the part of it that when you're making those judgment calls, you grow up and you shift in from one thing to the other because it didn't work out for whatever reason. Always never forget it.
No.
You can forgive. That's fine. It doesn't define you we say that a lot. It doesn't define you as a man. It's just part of what makes you up. And that's the test of how far you can go in a good or bad or situation. That makes sense?
It made total sense. And I hope you heard that, because, again, that's our mission here.
That's all I got.
That was it. He just looked for the bell. He looked for the bell guy over there. That was it. Ding, 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 ding.
Talk to me, Spidey.
So we want you to realize that this show, man, and what you heard and the knowledge from all of us, especially, Tait Fletcher. And if you want to know more, just go Google him, man. Listen to his podcast, Pirate Life Radio. I mean, listen to his ideas, his thoughts. Go buy his coffee, Caveman Coffee. Buy a t-shirt from him. Reach out to him. Follow him on social media. The guy is just this boundless energy of positivity and inspiration. And I'll tell you what, if you truly listen to what he said, you're going to be better off for it. You're going to discover the never quit mindset. I promise you that. So, if you're digging, please share this with your friends and your family. Tell everybody you know to turn in, because it's our mission to, provide great stories, because we believe that great stories ignite legends out there. And we're waiting for you. If you feel compelled, and you are inspired, or you've got a great never quit story, please go to our website at teamneverquit.com/podcast. Share your story with us, because we're collecting hundreds now of them all the time. We're reading through them, and if a great one comes in or really hits home for one of us on the team, we got a big team, we'll read it on the air. And Marcus, what do we do if one huge hits us?
I'll bring you on here.
You're going to be a guest on the Team Never Quit podcast, all right? You're going to come on, and we're going to interview you, because we want our audience members to learn something from you. So that's what we're about. We appreciate it. Check out the website, teamneverquit.com/podcast. If you want to have us all the time on demand, just go to your iTunes app, subscribe to our podcast, and write us a review if you would, please. If you love the show, write us a review. You'll have us on demand. You can listen in the morning, to and from work. You can listen during work while you're out in the gym, pumping iron, in bed, whatever you want. Have Marcus and I rattling around in your brain, inspiring you with these amazing guests, because that's what our mission. We care about you, and we want you to discover the never quit mindset. So to sign off, as I always do, I want to just thank God. I want to thank Christ. I want to thank, my teammates, my inspiration. Marcus, I want to thank you, man. It's just a real honor. I want to thank your friend and pray for him and his family. I want to, thank my wife, the Admiral, my two beautiful girls, and my family, because without all those people to pull me through the dark times, to get me out, and to help me realize that myself and my ability to serve other humans and bring positivity in this world, that's what it's all about. So thank you all.
Me too. Hey, thanks, Tait, and thanks for everyone for listening. Thank the big man upstairs for giving me my abilities, my friends for helping me find them, and my wife. I'm so glad you're home. I know you're out on them mission trips and saving the world. I sure miss you while you're gone. So, to my buddy who passed, I'll be thinking about you every day. You know that. We love you and we miss you. We'll carry on. I'm out.
We're out.